In school, we're pushed by parents and teachers to be the best we can. I mean, it's common knowledge that the harder you try, the better the outcome is. While this is true when it comes to grades in school, the same can't be said for life beyond school, college, and university. For example, have you ever wondered why that slacker in school now owns his own business? Or is slowly but surely climbing the corporate ladder in a high-paying job that you should have had? Well, there's a reason for this. As crazy as it sounds, C students are more destined for success than A students. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that if you're an A student, you're destined for failure. At the risk of sounding cheesy, only you can control your destiny. It doesn't matter if you're an A grade or an F grade. Your future depends on you. This is strictly going off of statistics that show that C students are the most successful. But how are they more successful than those with A grades, or even a B grade for that matter? Well, that's what we're here to go over today. Here are 7 reasons why C students are more successful than A students.
7.
They have their own success goals. With A and B students, they don't create their own goals. Rather, they follow goals that have been set by authority figures and society itself. But C students have an idea of where they want to be and set more reasonable goals in order to be where they want to be. Not to mention that A and B students seek security externally in the form of good grades. However, C students know that security can only really be experienced internally. They don't need any letter or grade to know exactly who they are. No external standard of success will ever compare to their own self-awareness and acceptance. To them, they've got a standard when it comes to success. They don't care what the masses are competing for. C students chart their own paths.
6.
They're not scared of failure. It's pretty safe to say that failure is one of the biggest fears out there for people. That being said, for people who only get C grades and possibly lower, odds are they're not too bothered about acing tests or even failing them. In fact, a lot of C students tend to take failure as a sort of learning device. This way, they know what they've done wrong and how to do something better next time. To put it simply, they learn from their mistakes. They're not scared of failure because to them, it's simply a learning experience.
5.
Perfection is not required. Now, it needs to be said, there's nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. Usually people tend to use that in a negative light. Like you'll hear someone say, "Sorry I took my time with this project, I'm too much of a perfectionist." Sure, if you have deadlines, that's not a good thing. But by being a perfectionist, you're making sure that you're doing a project to the best of your abilities, while also trying to aim higher. That is not a bad thing. However, it can also be people's downfall. Not only can nitpicking on flaws drive a person insane, but usually being a perfectionist isn't required. When you start missing deadlines because you're not happy with something, that's when problems start to arise. With C students, however, they've got the mentality of done is better than perfect, meaning that they don't care how the project looks. All they care about is following the requirements and getting it out of their hair as soon as they possibly can to a somewhat decent standard. They don't have time to waste on any little imperfections a project has. Needless to say, they've got no time to waste. If it's done, it's done. If there's mistakes, they can learn from them and apply to their next project. Again, being a perfectionist isn't a bad thing, especially in the film and creative industry, but it's not necessary with most lines of work.
4.
C students aren't followers. That being said, that doesn't mean they're leaders. I mean, they can be, depending on the individual, but C students tend to follow their own voice in their heads rather than follow someone else. Instead of following instructions and listening to people when telling them how to live their lives, they instead take initiative and forge their own path that benefits them most.
3.
They know how to enjoy life more. To quote Jack Torrance in The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. This one is an obvious one. All you need to do is look at college and university students, and you can see that there's a clear divide between the overachieving A students and the partying C students. You know, the ones that visit parties, get absolutely wasted, and come to the lessons a little bit hungover. To simply put it, they're enjoying life while they're young. However, when you look at them later in their life, sure, they've toned back the partying, but they know when to work and when to have fun in the healthiest way possible. Whereas A students try harder and harder and harder without taking any time out for themselves. It goes to show that happy people are more successful than those who are not. Another way of looking at this is that those who are happy tend to be motivational boosts when it comes to teamwork. They help cheer up the rest of the team, which in turn will pump out a better end result when it comes to team projects. Stressful, negative people, no matter how intelligent they are, won't be in the top list of candidates.
2,
Most tend to get work experience early on. Rather than gaining further education, most C students tend to leave school, some even leaving before their final exams, in order to get into the working world before anyone else. Now, parents will often tell their kids that this is a bad idea, but it's pretty common knowledge in this day and age that work experience is worth more than any piece of paper given to you by an educational establishment. Sorry, but that's the sad truth, although having those degrees can't hurt you either. This is usually a great step towards their eventual success in the field of entrepreneurship. By gaining a job at an early age, this gives them practical skills and experience that the A student could never get, or at least not until later in their life. These students who get out into the working world early are essentially getting a 5-year head start into the working world. In this way, they emerge better able to handle business when they're competing with A students in the business field.
1,
They follow their dreams. Now again, this isn't to say that those with A grades don't follow their dreams. We're sure there's people out there with A grades who are either pursuing or have even achieved their dream jobs or even a dream life. However, only a portion of people who've achieved A grades have done this. Despite what most people think when it comes to the working world, you don't have to hate your job. In fact, success comes from loving what you do. When you enter college, you're very young and might not understand what you actually need. This is why it's important to know that your choice in path isn't the be-all, end-all when at a young age. If the course you take isn't right for you, sign up for a different one. Although with university and college tuition, make sure you see an advisor first. Look at the youngest female billionaire, Elizabeth Holmes, who is revolutionizing medicine. She dropped out of Stanford, one of the most prestigious colleges, in order to follow her dreams. But there's probably no greater example than the man behind the worldwide conglomerate Virgin, Richard Branson. The fun-loving billionaire dropped out of school at the age of 15 and is now managing one of the largest companies in the entire world. All we're saying is that it's never too early or too late to follow your dreams. Again, a cheesy quote to end the video on, but it's true. And that's our list. Did we leave any out that you know about? Let us know in the comments section below. Please remember to subscribe and tap the bell button so we can notify you when we've uploaded new videos. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.